5 steps to prepare for jobs in the age of AI. If you're looking for a job right now, you're not just competing with other people. You're competing with AI. Don't just say I'm AI savvy on your resume. Show it. Share a LinkedIn post. Write a case study. Build a small workflow. Let people see how you think and solve with
We
AI.
have entrepreneur, author, GenAI practitioner, practice leader, in fact, and the social entrepreneur. He has a lot of educational content for us. So we'll talk more about all these things in the few minutes that are coming up. Welcome, Krishna Kumar ji.
Thanks for the invite, Akush, to the conversations that inspire.
Thank you so much for mentioning that, because it's a this is how I started, like in 2020. When we were all suffering in the COVID pandemic thing, I thought I love listening to conversations. So, anyway, I'll be having conversations with people on phone, so why not make it public so others can also benefit out of it. And we have wonderful leaders like you, from whom we get a lot of insights, and hope this will benefit a lot of people. Interestingly, I saw that you have 45 plus MOOCs with you, online content. So maybe we'll see what is currently happening. Like, you're a Gen AI practice leader. So at this moment, I don't know whether there is anything that survive in the coming years without AI. So what is the current status? We'll start with that. Then we'll go back to the entrepreneurship aspects, and the kind of talent acquisition parts, and which you are working on, and the education part, educational revolution. In fact, that is one of the books that you have written. So lots to talk about. So we'll start with what is happening in the AI.
All right. I think AI is going to change the way we look at the world. I think it is already happening, and it will happen shortly with more effect, intensity. I see that 98% of the jobs are going to be somewhere influenced by AI, going to be changed by AI, or sometimes even replaced by AI, right? And that's a brutal truth we have to go and embrace, and see how we can relook at the way we work and the way we design work, the way we kind of building businesses. I got fascinated by the idea, because there was no other way I could see the world. So 2.5 years back, when ChatGPT got launched, it was a moment for many people, a ChatGPT moment where we kind of got a hands-on view of how this AI can help you to do something which you never thought could be done earlier, right? So these are moments in which you realize that this is not just ChatGPT as a tool. This is a foundational shift happening, and this is like the electricity moment or the internet moment, where fundamentally is changing. And I think people still have not really appreciated the fact about the foundational shift. People still talk about how to use ChatGPT for 10 different things. Is Gemini better than ChatGPT? All those, things. Apart from that, we should appreciate, like, in our lifetime. So we are all adults now, and in our lifetime, we are able to appreciate. We are able to see this kind of a foundational shift in its full effect, right? And that too without us having to wait for a long period of time, right? Usually, this kind of foundation shifts. For example, I remember when internet came in, I had the dial-up connection. From dial-up connection to 5G, it took almost 15 years for me to have a decent, watch a video on a YouTube without guilt. It took almost 15 years. But with AI, it's 1.5 years, or maybe even lesser, right, to reach that level of technology maturity. And that's the most surprising aspect of it, right? Earlier, we saw electricity, like, it took almost 70 years for electricity to kind of evolve to reach a level where it could be consumed on a massive level by making it a consumer product or a utility service. But right now, AI is a utility service in all our hands, on phones, on your computer, everywhere, and also embedded in various other tools which we get, right? So it's part of every layer in our life. Your conversational layer, your products are, powered by AI. Most of the tech products will be powered by AI. There will be AI agents who will be working for you to get your stuff done, right? There are so many things happening in this space, and that's at a very rapid way, right? it's not slow. It's not making us impatient. It's actually it's surprising us each time, right? Just to give an example, if you notice, ChatGPT itself in the last 2.5 years have kind of evolved and upgraded itself so much that it can reach a level of probably a big four consultant when it comes to doing knowledge work. Earlier, it was like in its earliest version of ChatGPT, which probably some of us would have kind of seen or interacted with, is like very basic. It might be inaccurate, it might misinterpret facts, or sometimes it may not be able to read the context well. But what you see right now in ChatGPT is its self-paid model of, say, for example, a model like O3 is equivalent to like someone who is working in a big four and with some 10 years of experience, right? I'm not saying that it can replace their relationships or network or their reputation, but it can replace immediately of all the tasks they do, right? I'm talking more of a task level. It's not that the work value is only about tasks, right? The work value matters about the relationships, the stakeholder management they do, and the whole reputation they have in that particular function or industry or work or whatever. But on a task level, look at what they do right now, and you slice all the tasks, and you will see that all these tasks can be done with someone probably far less experienced by them. Look at only the tasks, right? Don't look at the reputation, network, industry effect, and everything, right? So that itself is surprising. And now, if you see all the big four, including all the big management consulting firms, have kind of shifted, started using the paid versions of all GenAI tools to deliver knowledge work to their clients. That's the first step in which you see disruption, right? Because like a $5,000 per hour work can be done by a $20 project, a $20 product, right? Like ChatGPT. Obviously, it would require you to have the domain knowledge. You need to know the context. You need to know how to use these tools. You need to know prompt engineering. It's a combination of full stack skills which come in there also, but still, it is able to do it. And it is not very far that we would see that somebody who with a full stack of these skills, right, and tools and AI agents would be operate like a 10-member team or a 25-member team, right? And that's what the CEO of Anthropic, or even for that matter, the CEO of OpenAI, talks in public about a one person, 1 billion company with AI is very soon, right? Sometimes it can happen, right? One person with a host of AI tools or AI agents can deliver a lot of work and become a highly valued enterprise, right? So this is the cocktail of all things happening right now. But we are in a very interesting phase, and me as a learner, as a more like an educator, is trying to do is to catch up with these things and see how it can help people to improve their productivity. So one of the ways which I look at is like, whatever you're doing right now, can you amplify it, right? Whatever you are doing right now, can you augment it and make yourself like a highly valuable professional in your space, right? The biggest problem with most of these organizations is that the employees productivity is not as good as how they are paid for. And right now the employees can focus on getting productive at the same time, not getting burned out, right? So it's a good deal for people who value work, at the same time who wants to give value at their workplace by embracing AI and helping them to do so many things, right? Which they were not able to do earlier. Two, which would take a lot of time for them to do. Three, it would take a lot of efforts for them to do. And four is the most interesting aspect. Like, they would never venture into certain things without AI. Like, for example, a business analyst probably would limit their work to probably having calls with the technical teams and the business teams, and that's it. They would never get into innovation. They would never get into something which their job description is not talking about, right? So here you can break the job description, you can be fluid, you can enter others areas. If you're a curious person, a lot of opportunities to learn new things. If you're not a product manager, you can still become a product manager, thinking about what are product functions and how to build thought process. Like, so expansion of knowledge work is something which you see in this area a lot, right? Earlier people were afraid to enter others territories. Like, can I do this? Is it will I be exposed? lack of knowledge can create problems. But here, everyone, including the domain experts, even the knowledgeable people, even the experienced people, are coming back to AI and interacting and getting information, right? So that's the biggest opportunity which we have here. That if someone is truly wanting to build their work, when I say work, it's not about salaried work alone. Work, value, and creating your own identity, and of course, with high level of agency, it is this is the time.
Great insight in terms of what's happening currently and where things are heading to. At the moment, as a practice leader of Gen AI, is your service as in the guidance, because there are lots to explore on. If you look at something, you will get hyperlink to thousand other things. So is this service available for individuals, or is it for corporate?
So there are two different formats in which I work. One is I'm like a mentor for various platforms, which are edtech platforms, AI communities. Of course, I have commercial engagements with these platforms to kind of share my uh, content, masterclasses, workshops. One way of I look at it is this: you can't learn AI but just by giving content, right? You have to be hands-on using these tools, get the demo, build use cases. Even for that matter, you have to build with AI. That means that you have the large language models which are out there available. How do you connect those things to your products and get the power of these LLMs to work for your customers, right? So this is one area which I've been kind of working in the last more than 2 years now, and started with prompt engineering sessions to building enterprise use cases to kind of building AI agents. So that's kind of been an evolution, just like how AI industry evolved. I had to evolve like that. A lot of demand comes from enterprises where companies are now looking at how do I use AI in the functions where I kind of help them to build use cases first of all, right? And I think even before building use cases, they would like to see the magic of AI in different demonstrative, ways. And so I always start with say like the first 2 3 hours would be spent on like showing 40 different ways AI can work on different use cases. So usually it is repetitive because I keep doing these programs every very often. But it's good. But people get to see this. People get the glow in their eyes when they see this new examples, and once they feel that there is a huge potential, they can connect ideas, right? Because we are mostly talking about their own context, right? If it's a bank, I'm going to pick up examples only from their bank contextually. Of course, with AI, I'm going to build all the content, but make sure that they see examples from their own space, right? And then they see, oh, earlier it was done like this, now it is done like this. A lot of time saved, efforts reduced, frustrating work reduced, a lot of creativity, more accuracy, higher scale, right? It's a very instant win actually. So we don't have to sell the idea. Earlier, I've been to the process of technology selling also, right? So I know that how difficult for someone to appreciate technology, a piece of technology. They take a lot of time. They're not excited by it. Why? First of all, because the effort to deploy technology is very high, and the efforts itself will make the whole technology look much lesser than what it actually is, right? But here there are two things. AI is magic in use cases, and the effort to deploy is much lesser compared to an earlier technologies. So these are two things which make AI super interesting. Understanding AI is much faster right now because you have all the tools available with you. You don't have to go behind a demo to get to know what AI can do, right? Because you are seeing this every day with ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, Grok, and a host of other tools which people are getting familiar with. Secondly, you have much lesser effort compared to another technology like cloud computing or mobile computing or setting up a website. All it took a lot of time for them to, even if they like the idea of having this, it might take time. This is more of like a plug and play game where if you like this, you can plug and play the game and you can evolve it. Secondly, this is evolving. Like, so example, based on, so you always have to build products and better on the model. So like most of the models like OpenAI, Claude or Gemini or Meta's Llama and all are getting built better and better. So there is a lot of growth happening in that model. The capabilities are improving. And once you plug this model to your product, along with that LLM, you are growing. Your product is growing. It's like you're connected to a massive engine which is already growing, right? So I always when we discuss with community, AI learners community, we always say that build products and bet on the model, right? That's a very simple thing which you have to follow. You don't have to um, rack your brain about various things because LLMs are growing, because a lot of money is spent on building LLMs, because a lot of data is going into it, a lot of talent is working on it. I think that's a great space to bet on, right? I think that's the beauty of this the generative AI game, where you don't have to build all by yourself. Any other technology, we had to have a lot of on-premises work or infrastructure or data required. But I think this is more like a rendered, high power rendered, or like what do you call it, like a SaaS product. Capability which are coming in, but truly capable, right?
You have done more than 100 AI workshops, Gen AI workshops in the last 1 year. What kind of transformation? I mean, some of the things you have already spoken last few minutes, but what's the kind of transformation that is happening in the corporate world, in the academic world, so people can get abreasted to in the coming weeks or months, because it's happening quite soon.
Yeah. Just to give an example, today I saw an Instagram reel of a radiologist, saying that his job is soon getting replaced by AI. So he himself has put out that reel while he was reading one of the radiology scans of people. He couldn't detect what is coming in, but AI could detect that. Why? Because there is always a room for human judgment error, or sometimes, for that matter, like in a very experienced radiologist might also overlook some factors, right? Here is what happened to him as well, and he was like pretty open to share that. What I found is that starting from very technical, highly technical, specialized role like a radiologist, to look at every segment, legal analyst to product researcher to even, for example, programmer, coder, to a teacher, to every specialized super specialist. If they can define their work well, if that work can be a template, then that can be um, agentized, right? I would call, when I say agentized, means it can be an AI agent, right? This is a very um, most recent scenario, right? Where you slice your, so look at what your job is. You can slice every aspect of your job, and if it can be made a template, and the template can be repeated most of the time, and some of the aspects of the job can't be repeated. Why? Because it's very personal. You have a unique storytelling capability which can't be done with AI, but you have a unique way of looking at things that can't be replicated with AI. But most of 80% of the jobs have this template possible, right? Look at a teacher, what they're doing. They're producing content, they are delivering it, they are engaging students, they are getting good feedback. So some of it, like if they don't use their personal charm or their storytelling skills, so they don't brand themselves like out there, it will be difficult to differentiate between them and what an AI agent teacher would be doing, or an AI agent legal analyst would be doing, right? So the whole thing of AI making us more human. Before AI, it was more of, we were like part of the whole knowledge ecosystem, where we were actually cogs in the wheel. But actually, with AI, what's happening is that AI taking away all our template work, and we can focus on the most creative, more human, more genuine, more original kind of a work. I mean, that's the opportunity here, right? In the last 40 years, we have seen we working like machines with a lot of templates and workflows, and inside the Excel sheets, right? But right now we are getting away from that, because AI is helping us to do that, and we becoming more human in the process. Maybe we can do podcasts like this after this, right? Because most of our works, if you look at most of our work, is already done except for the human conversations before 12, right? I have all my proposals given, shared, the insights, all social media posts done. So I think we are, in a way, it's helping us to do the most human work, giving away all the templates and routine work to AI.
That's a superb, interesting definition of how we are putting things because so far I've not looked at it in this way. You have conducted lots of curriculum updates and interesting workshops for the topmost premium education institutions like IITs and IIMs. What kind of updates are happening in such institutions or the curriculum which prepare the next generation? Because many of the universities, many of the courses that we take up in universities, like even for the distance education MBA, also the content is a bit obsolete. With this advancement in terms of source of knowledge and technology, there could be a lot more prospects, and the students can learn much more. So, what's the future of it? Like and you have explained it in bit in the past, but then such questions are also there for the young generation. So, you could explain that.
I think the fear of AI is real. The fear of AI is not about the fear of AI. It's because you can't survive with mediocrity. So a lot of people who just want to do mediocre work feel that AI is taking away their mediocre work, and people who are doing superlative work is not worried about it. Why? Because they know that the human ingenuity, the originality, the intent, the brand, the story, the cult, all that would come together to make their work truly seen as valuable. But and mediocre work is immediately done by AI. A mediocre story can be done with AI in like a minute's time. But a great story can't be done with AI right now, at least right now. So I think, I mean, even for that matter, design. We spoke about design. Of course, AI can come up with designs in a very like how a mediocre designer would do it in 4 days. It would do in 4 minutes. Right? But still, AI has not reached a level where a great Figma, designer can do that job. It may do maybe in a couple of years. That's what we see right now. It is reaching there, but still we have scope to learn the craft, love what we do, instead of only worrying about the opportunities. Right? So there are two things to it. So I know that in another 2 3 years, maybe whatever I do could be replaced by so many other things. But as long as I kind of go deeper into what I do right now, build a craft, build a cult, build a proper story, improve my skills, I mean human skills, we still will get some space, right? And that's what I think young people should think about. Not really worried about what could happen like after this. So there is something called human muscle memory, which is what actually is replaced by AI, because a lot of people develop skills right over a period of time if they can analyze data like pretty faster than rest of the 90% of the people. They are paid more in the data area, right? But right now AI is doing it pretty fast, maybe even accurate than the human people, I mean human agents, right? Now, what essentially will happen is we will become a super organizer and manager of AI agents and tools to get job done. So essentially, we were all workers in the process of knowledge ecosystem. Right now, we automatically have to become managers. Like if you would have noticed actually with ChatGPT, we are not writers, we are verifiers, right? We are analysts. So we take output from AI and then we verify it, we analyze it, we review it. Right? So you become more of reviewers with AI, and the next level of review is management, right? So managers do review of their people's work and approve it and send it to the next level of possibilities, right? Now what we're doing is we are using AI to do all the manual work which was done earlier, review the output of AI, approve it, or maybe tweak it, or maybe contextualize it, iterate it, refine it, create the next level of output, which is approvable in that way. So we have to become managers in the process. We can't be working like individuals which we used to work earlier, right? So we are managers who will produce work with AI, um, give context to AI, train AI, modify the behaviors of AI agent for that matter, and get the job done. So getting the job done is still there, a great business out there, right? But with the help of AI. Earlier, it was done with the help of people.
Also covers the kind of curriculum part because it's evolving. And if there is anything more to add to that.
So on the curriculum thing, a lot of universities and education institutions are aware of it, that things are changing and they need to act on it. Now, acting is a hardest part, where because a lot of teachers, educators, education leaders now think like AI is an interesting marketing word for getting students. And of course, if students are not getting excited if there is no AI in their course, because AI is more like future proofing your course. I mean, when I say course, because the moment AI is there, they feel okay. When I come out of the course in the 4 years, I will still be talking about relevant stuff, right? Making universities and education institutions think that this is a great marketing buzzword right now. Okay, but secondly, when it comes to the real impact, right, what AI can do in the content, what they're doing is they are trying to teach people again what Python and everything. But I think that's where they're losing the game, right? You don't have to go through the technical side of AI, whereas you have to go through the generative side of AI, right? These are two different gates through which you can actually enter AI, right? One is the technical side where you can have Python, ML, those things. But GenAI is disrupting all that and coming from a no code point of view, where a lot of interesting tools are getting developed with the GenAI's transformed architecture, LLMs, and AI. Industry itself is evolving for people who don't know technology, right? So the generative AI is helping a lot of non-tech people enter businesses, do businesses, build AI products. That's what exactly we do in one of our cohort sessions, where we help non-tech people to build AI products, right, without coding. And it's happening. And a lot of tech people feel that white coding is not great, it is not matured yet. Of course it might be, it's just average coding, but it is getting improved. Just like 6 months back, the white coding was not reliable. Now it is super reliable, and you can build and run products which where a lot of thousands of users are there still with white coded, code base and products. Right? So um, the skeptical people are now finding the new products super interesting, and the believers are excited. Why? Because they have all the things which they were not able to do earlier, which means that a non-tech business analyst can now build a business analyst AI product without having to work with any full stack developer. Right? So there are two gates to it which we look at it. One is a technical gate, the other one is a non-technical gate. And non-technical gate has a lot of people, like 90-95% of the people in the world are non-technical, except for some people, 5% of the people who love coding, who have been into, I mean, even for programmers and coders, they use a lot of tools like Replit, Cursor, or Claude, or tools like that to generate code. Only the top 1% of the programmers would find the coding style, or the whole architecture to be a bit um, average. But for all the larger use cases for the products, this is good enough, right? So there is always a good enough work which we can do with these things. And that's the scenario now. And you can see in another 1 year, these products are developed. um, Thousands and millions of users come into the place. The AI system gets trained, it becomes better, it learns from its own code and users, which is like will definitely lead to much more compounding, right? So when I'm talking about universities and education institutions, feel that the space at which they're dealing with the AI as a is an animal is a bit lesser. I would say, like, so there should be something like a Gen AI war room or AI war room in institutions to deal with high level of dynamic changes happening in this industry, unlike which how they see things in an earlier world, right? So earlier world, they saw things very gradual. They have a whole 1 year or 2 years to kind of adapt to new things. They would review these things first of all and see whether this is leading to any skill-based monetization. Like for example, if they feel experiential marketing is good, and if it has more opportunities, they will add that course, right? Here they don't have that time, so maybe semester by semester you would see AI changing, and that's the biggest challenge which these universities might have. So you need someone, or maybe a group of people out there to act like a command center, just like how you operate in critical situations, and do it. I mean, that approach would help, I feel. Right now this is, I mean, it looks for me very slow.
Moving a few years back, like, how was your entrepreneurship started, and how is this talent acquisition evolving in this context of AI, and what's possible? Because many people are many organizations are laying off people, and things are changing to a different dimension. So how are you equipping yourself as in, because there are talent, the scope of, or the manpower is more, but opportunities are relatively less. So how do you deal with that?
So when I started, along with our team, that we worked on talent acquisition for a long period of time, and we realized that it was, of course, a lot of work has been done on technology hiring as well. Um, we also had a service line which worked on digital services projects, which worked with companies to transform them digitally. We were still a small boutique consulting firm, not a very large company. Uh, in the process, what we learned is that the AI as a force um, is pausing a lot of hiring things. Like it doesn't mean that it's, of course, laying off is the extreme term, but companies and managers or people are still thinking whether we should have someone in place, or should we take a call differently. So that pause is there, right? Which means that they want to wait, watch, and then hire, right? Earlier, the model was super clear that if you want to get job done, hire someone, right? And hire someone means you pay like 10 lakh salary, and you have to get 4 5x of the salary as their, as a revenue. Very clear, 5 to 8x was the most profitable model, right? Like you pay 10 lakhs, you get 80 lakhs of value out of this person. Right now they feel that if we invest in AI or making the organization AI native, it can actually do wonders. So just to give you an example, maybe a US example. So if you look at um, to get a very junior employee, like for that matter, paid intern in the US, you have to pay like say 80,000 to 100,000 USD, right? And of course, you can't determine whether this person would be good for you. It depends on how you look at things, or maybe even the person looks at things, right? Right now, we have tools. Say, for example, at 25,000, say for example, $200 product which costs like, yeah, $2,400 per year, at an agentic level. Right? So so imagine $2,400 per year cost agent, AI agent doing say like 25x job than probably a paid employee would do, right? So that kind of economics is like much discussed now in some of the companies where the tasks are pretty defined, right? So lead generation to sales to marketing to, I mean, you can see a lot of areas where you don't need uh, strategy, and of course strategy will be done by the rest of the people. You don't need a lot of team members to do this, right? That is a big change now. So talent acquisition is all about how you deploy people and get value out of it, and generate revenues out of these people. That pretty formula, right? Deploy 10 lakh resource, get 50 lakh revenue. That formula is something which is that the formula may not be relevant. Maybe it's still relevant now, but may not be relevant in like 2 years from now, because if you can define someone's job, if you can convert that into a work template, a workflow, this can be agentized, right? So an AI agent is available at $3,000 per year, right? So you have a clear economics working out here for organizations to look at whether we need to hire or not, right?
What change do you do in terms of to prepare for this kind of a change in the demand?
Yeah, so we've kind of moved from the task-based jobs to more strategic and leadership kind of roles, which would probably the last kind of roles which will be affected by AI. I mean, that's all we can do right now. But we're also building something on the AI agent space where we'll see each of the tasks can be, um, sliced and converted into templates. So one area is that moving to and working more on AI agent space, right? But AI agent space is not as easy as we say, like, because each of the organization might have a different way of looking at each job, right? So you may have to kind of end up building AI agents for each organization as such. It won't be like one agent will work for every company in the same way. But you can't. Sometimes it can be productized. Sometimes it can't be, because some organization has very clear way of looking at a job, and they say we want the job to be done this way, not the AI agent way, right? Which is pretty much templatized, right? So there is still gaps, and the management might have a different view of how the job should be done based on the guidelines and the ethics and values of the company and all that. So it's a so no one has clarity on this. Of course, I'm not saying that it's time for clarity. It's time for more of experimentation now. I mean, a lot of people ask me, can you give me a clarity? I said, no, I am not here to give you full clarity, because we are here to experiment and see what comes as an outcome for you to work on.
There is prospects and there is uncertainty on the other side in terms of what's the demand in the coming days. Let me. I've not seen any of the online courses, so this could be which you have prepared. Like I've seen, like there are 45 plus courses. So is that in a revenue generation mode, or is it open source? How is it?
So recently I did a program for upgrad, and that was called the Generative AI for Managerial Excellence. And I think that's the program which I've done. And then rest of the programs are all live masterclasses for enterprises and communities. Maybe what you've seen in the LinkedIn on the 45 MOOCs is something which I have done, not like I've delivered, right? So during, I think obviously we all got a lot of time, during the pandemic, and we were also thinking how to pivot, how to reinvent ourselves, right? I'm sure that a lot of professionals have gone through the stage of pivoting, right, and reinventing themselves. I think 2022 to 23 is when I did most of my 45 plus MOOCs, like in various platforms, which includes Coursera, Udemy, LinkedIn, just for as a matter of familiarizing myself with the world, the new world, and that helped me a lot. I think LinkedIn programs are good, Udemy, and I mean any program which is structured, which offers value. Of course, it requires some patience to kind of listen and absorb and take notes and be consistent and everything. But so I think that's a discipline you put yourself forcefully into to get it done. I mean, there is no other way where we can do this, right? Maybe you can randomly watch some 100 YouTube videos, but it won't serve the purpose. You will get some scattered ideas, but this will structure what you have, or maybe how to look at a topic. So I've done MOOCs in different kind of programs, neuroscience to economics to AI to supply chain management to boardroom, management to. I mean, it's not that I would need that instantly, right? So when I do a program on sustainability, I'm not expecting me to work on a sustainability project at that moment. But when there is a conversation, when there is a project, when there is something happening in this space that I am not blind to it, I know some bit of it, right? So that I can engage it with it more clearly, right? That was all the purpose of it. So having an understanding about various things is how you build yourself as a super generalist, if you really look at it. And being a super generalist is like a super blessing right now in the world of AI. Why? Because AI will do the job of a super specialist, and the super generalist will go and use AI to get the job done, right? So so being a super generalist is a very human thing, right? Again, as humans, we are curious about various things. And in the last 40 years, what I've seen is the capitalistic structures have kind of made people to, or sometimes even forced people to focus on one area for a longer period of time to develop acumen, skills, and everything. But it's good for making money, but it's actually not good as a human, right? So being a super generalist is a really human thing. Get interested in everything, try to understand more of it, and then use your super specialist AI agents to do the job, which you may not be able to do. Right? I see it like that. It's a different philosophy. Maybe some of you may resonate with it. Some of you may not like the idea, but that's okay. Yeah.
This question I've asked to many people who were my guests in Conversations that Inspire. It's like, how do you manage your time? Because now things have changed, and you have already told, like, by 12 I finished my kind of work. And how does a day look like for Krishna Kumar?
Usually, all my days are a bit pre-planned, a couple of days before, so that so there are two things which will help me to achieve more on a day. If I plan something for yesterday, like for example, if I plan all my activities for what I have to do today, yesterday, the advantage is that I will have something called a sense of anticipation to do that. And when I have a sense of anticipation, I'll also start thinking how to creatively do that. And I'll start to think whether I can do 1% better than what I would have done earlier, right? And that thinking is there on a subconscious mind. Like, so it's not that I'm actively thinking about it. Maybe during sleep, maybe I have these things in my mind, right? And next day, when I approach the work, I can see some new things emerging from it, like which I would not have done when I did that listing that day, right? Because there was some subconscious activities going around, right, about it, and I've still not figured out how to do that that day, but then it'll emerge. That's not accidental. It's a very clear thing. Why? Because we've already listed those things, a day prayer or maybe a couple of days prayer, and we know how to prepare your mind for that, right? So I think preparing your mind for the day will make it better. So one best way, or maybe to look at time management as such, is to kind of prepare yourself, think of it like how the day would be like. So if I have to plan something or create some good output tomorrow, I have to start thinking that I want to work on this. I don't know how, but I have some time. I am thinking about it. So since my Gen AI thing started, I think it's been 3 years. I mean, more than 2.5 years now. A lot of time is spent on learning and updating, and sometimes a bit obsessively. Why? Because you don't have a way to go. It's like a rabbit hole, right? You go inside that, and there is so much to explore, and you keep going there. So I've kind of unsubscribed a lot of my usual news sources. Say, entire news sources is unsubscribed. Political news, very few. Only analysts and no newspapers, right? And then I've started kind of following only AI experts in Twitter. So I'm more talking on Twitter, not the rest of the media. And then I open the Twitter, so I'm following almost 1,000+ people on. So I think out of which almost 400 people are in AI space only. This keeps going, and the moment I open Twitter, I don't see anything else. I only see new things happening, use cases, people experimenting. So it keeps me alive in that space, right? Which also will save me a lot of time in terms of going and finding out new information each day, because search itself is a task, right? So to make the search easier, I would say let me follow those people so that they would feed me with content I want, right? The way I want, right? So it's like the other way. Instead of going for an outbound search, you're getting an inbound feed, right? That's helped me to save a time a lot, because the moment I keep my X platform open all the time, pick up one idea and share that. And though there are not many followers for me, but I keep it as a way to follow other people, right? Experts. Not as an engagement model, but more of like picking up information, use that content, try to understand the content, try that, experiment it, and then probably once I have a first-hand experience, I can tell other people, teach it, right? So that's the process I follow. Secondly, on time management, I think good sleep is so important. So usually I kind of, if I'm at home, if I'm working from home, then I get a 15-20 minutes sleep. I mean, that will give you an advantage of having 2 days with you in one day, right? Why? Because you have a day from the morning to 2:33, and then you're gonna sleep for 20 minutes. You have the whole day out there fully energized. So it's like you're splitting your day one and day two in one day itself, right? Which is, I think, worked for me. I mean, even my son asked me, "How are you able to sleep exactly 20 minutes?" I said, "Okay. I mean, I feel anything more than 20 minutes will drag me, lesser, right? But then exactly 20 minutes means that I'm able to wake up alive and fresh with thoughts, and I want to go and do something, right?" So these are some of the time management, but I don't know whether this serves your question, but. People say that Pomodoro technique and all, but it does not really work for me. What works for me is sometimes the instant bursts of motivation, or sometimes I see content, I feel, wow, people are doing this. Let me try and do something in that space. So, forcefully putting me to a focused work is something which doesn't work for me, but I get more inspired by people acting on something. Or sometimes, when someone calls me and asks me a question, I would get triggered. I'm saying, wow, this is a great question to answer, or maybe find answer for. And then I have like 1 or 2 hours into that, and finding that answer itself become like a motivational thing for you, right? So yeah, so these are things which works well now.
We'll connect once again, or maybe a couple of more times, to talk more in depth about, especially on the innovation part. How do you look at it? And then, because this is I think as we move ahead, there's no other way than to keep innovating. That is the scope of it, and probably a survival imperative. We'll talk more about such things in the coming episodes. Thank you so much for your time. Quite insightful listening to you.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.